So now we're starting the idea of reflections. Reflections are when you flip a graph over. And I'm going over a couple of problems in this video. If you don't see yours, just hold on a second. We're doing a graphing one right here, and it's a multi-stage graphing one. And then we're getting into more of an equation writing version of this problem. But both of these problems that I'm going over are tutorial style problems. In other words, if you read through the directions here in blue, that will walk you through the problem. Let's just do this video as a little add-on. Now, if you read this top line, think what this says right here is actually pretty important. This says these transformations are out of order. Okay, I do not want you guys going top to bottom down this list and doing these transformations on the graph. That will give you the wrong answer. Because all that stuff about how important it is to do your shifts at the end instead of at the beginning, now it really matters. Because horizontal's always been a little wacky, right? We go left when we think we're going to add and vice versa. Well, when you combine horizontal transformations, shifts, and reflections, it gets really weird. And we just have to carefully walk through these steps. So if you noticed, I've bolded some of these guys, and those are the transformations I want to focus on first in part one right here. Okay, so we're just going to draw an intermediate transformed function. Okay, this g of x, that won't be our final answer. It'll only be stretches, compressions, and reflections. Okay, so let's take a look here. We've got a vertical stretch by a factor of 3/2, vertical reflection across, oh, come on. Okay, so it's imagination time, folks. I cut off the bottom of my grid. Here's what you're going to do in your full grid. So this is a vertical reflection, right? That means we're going to flip this thing over, something like that. And furthermore, it's not just a vertical reflection. It's got a stretch factor of 3/2. So that means what we're going to do is something like this. You're going to want, instead of going, I didn't draw it right. Let's try to do this a little better. Instead of going over 1, up 1, you're going to want to go over 1, down 3/2. Okay, so your function is going to look something like that. But you don't have 3/2 grid lines, right? They have to be integers. So let's try to find a different one. How about over 4, up 2? Except for us, we're going to do over 4, down 3, because we're multiplying by 3/2. Okay, like that. And what else is going on? Oh, great. There's also a horizontal reflection across the y-axis. See this guy right here. Okay, so now we're going to flip it horizontally to the left. And that is now going to look like, well, going over 4, down 3, just over on this side. Okay, so that is going to be what you draw in this section of the graph. Now, when you scroll down, it's going to say, hey, nice work. Now do all the shifts from above. And let's go back here and look at what the shifts were. We're going left by 2, down by 3. Okay, left by 2, down by 3. Let's see if I can remember that. Left by 2, down by 3. So we take that little dot right there. Left 2, down 3. And that's the new location of the dot. And I shift the whole graph over. So I'm going to go, I'm still going over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And down 2 like that. Down 3. And there will be my new function right there. Okay, so that is how you do this graphing stuff. We're going to go in stages here. And, once we're past the tutorials, it'll just show a graph to you and say draw it. But for now, I think it's better to go in steps. Let's do the same idea, except building equations. And we're still dealing with transformations that are out of order because it is important for you guys to really learn that you have to do shifts at the end. So we're forcing you to do that by mixing the shifts in here. You're going to have to go looking for them and save them for later. Let's find the things that are not shifts. I want to do stretches, compressions, and reflections first. So there's a reflection, and there's 2 more thingies, stretches and reflections. So now let's make function notation. I'm stretching vertically by a factor of 3. So this is 3 times f of, and look at that. It's not just a vertical stretch. We also have this vertical reflection right here. Okay, so that's actually a -3. -3 times f of, and a horizontal reflection means it's not f of x, it's f of -x. That is a horizontal reflection because it's inside the parentheses. And now we can do our, we're not doing the shifts yet. That's right, we're going in stages. And the equation form of this guy is going to be negative 3, I thought that was x squared for a second, negative 3 times the square root of negative x. Now don't get bothered by the fact that you see a negative sign in the square root. That's perfectly fine because x could be negative numbers, and then the negatives will cancel out and we'll be okay. So now let's keep on going, and now we're going to get to the shifts. Okay, I'm going to change colors. I haven't done that in a while. I'm going to change colors and do a horizontal shift right by 5 and down by 4. So what is that? What does that look like? Well, negative 3f of negative x, and I want to do a shift down. Let's talk about the down by 4. That's an easy one, right? You just add minus 4 to the end. The horizontal shift is where things get complicated. And the way you have to think of it is like this. You take your function, negative 3 times f, and you put x in a little parentheses. Okay? I think everyone would agree that nothing actually changed in the way I wrote this. I just put an extra pair of parentheses in there. And now we're going to take that shift right by 5. What's a shift right by 5? That's x minus 5, right? And we're going to take that x minus 5 and replace the x with it. So this is going to become negative 3 f negative x minus 5. Okay? And that is our fully transformed equation, except it's in function notation. We're going to change it to an equation form now. Let's see, how do I do that? That is negative 3 times, well, what's f? F is the square root thing. Okay, so negative 3 times the square root of negative x minus 5, and then we have that vertical shift down 4. So that is your full transformed equation, okay, that we put right in here.